It's a post-hurricane here in Florida. So my bike has been sitting because I'm dealing with an injury on my leg. It's been sitting now for about a month. So I decided today that I want to do a quick recap because it's been a year since I've owned this bike. It's a year and just about, I'd say, around 7,000 to 8,000 miles I've put on it so far. I'm just gonna go over some of the things that I've done to the bike over the last year, give a better idea of what kind of mechanical problems I ran into and some of the upgrades that I added to this bike. Here we go. So there she is, 2016 Trek Emonda S4. As you can see, it's no longer stock. I've actually taken a lot of stuff off, replaced some stuff, and added some stuff. So let's start with the things that I actually had to do on this bike. At 4,000 miles, I actually had to, believe it or not, change the bottom bracket. So as you can see, it's a sealed bottom bracket, BB86 bottom bracket. At 4,000 miles, I started getting some crackling sound from the bottom bracket, so I ended up taking it into my local bike shop and have them change it out. So instead of the Tiagra that it came with, I installed an Ultegra bottom bracket at 4,000 miles. Also, the rear wheel, which this is not the original rear wheel, as you can see, this is an aftermarket I had installed. The original rear wheel had some issues also at 4,000 miles where the back, where the hub would started making some weird creaking noise, also more crackling sound coming from the hub, so we have to get the hub surfaced. So since then I've actually switched the wheels out for these wheels that you can now see that's on the bike. These are carbon wheels from China. They're Chinese carbon, but I've got maybe 1,000 or 1,200 miles or so on them so far. So they've been good. They've held up. They're stiff, nice, and had to do no truing or anything on them so far yet. At 4,000 miles, we also see that I actually changed the original Bontrager stem out for a third party from RXL instead of a, what was it? I think it was 100 mil. I actually went with an 80 mil stem. John holes being developed in the handlebar tape, which is actually what I'm going to be changing now in just a few minutes. Also with the wheels, after putting these Superteam wheels on, I actually had to change the brake pads out. So these are carbon specific brake pads. I've also added Bontrager saddle. The original saddle was the same color, white, but it was just too big for me, so I actually changed it out for this one. I think this one's called the Monroe's. Smaller saddle than the one came with the bike, and I've added a Bontrager bag, saddle bag to the back of it. Here you can see I got just a cheapo Blitz light from Amazon, which works very well, very bright. So I've used that. Been using that for quite a while now. And last time I did a video on the bike, I actually had the original blender mount for this head unit that I'm using, the cat eye head unit, but this time I decided to go with an official cat eye out front mount. Makes it quite a little bit sleeker. Looks way better to me now than having it sit up high. Alright, let's talk about these wheels. These are what I consider Chinese carbon from Superteam. As you can see the logo, I got a black logo on the black carbon wheels, so they don't really stand out that much. But these, yeah, are Chinese. They're super cheap on Amazon. That's where I got them from. They came right out of the box, trued. I was surprised at how true they were. Haven't had to do any truing on them yet. these wheels I've ridden for just about, I'd say somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 miles so far I got on these wheels, and they're pretty sweet wheels. It's so good, so well built that I actually had friends of mine who tried them and purchased the same exact wheels right after I did. As you can see, they came with the Superteam skewers right on there, and they came with the tape already installed on the wheels that's inside the rim, so you don't puncture your tubes. What I added was these tires, which is, what did I get? I think I got the Continental. Okay, let's talk about Cassette. So I did not reuse the old Cassette for my original Bontrager wheels when I installed these new wheels. I went with brand new tubes, tires, and I decided to go with a brand new Cassette also. So what I instead got was these Shimano 105 10-speed 11 to 28 Cassette. And recently, maybe less than 500 miles ago, I decided to swap my pedals out and get some look pedals, which so far have been great. Here we are. We can have a look at the Tiagra chain rings, and we can see on there that they held up well over the last 7,000-8,000 miles or so. Keep in mind that I quite frequently wash this bike, so I only got a few scuffs on there, and the derailleur actually has quite some scuff marks on it, which is not too bad for, 7,000 miles or so. Here are some scuff marks that I found on the brake and gear levers, and also while using my bike in the trainer, I happened to, not sure if you can see it right there, I actually ding the carbon, well, it's not the carbon but just the paint. These scuff marks in here came from me using this wheel on the indoor trainer. Other than that, everything else has held up. I also have, as you can see, a little bit of scuffing from, I'm guessing it's debris that it actually picked up on the rear wheel. What I also did was I got helicopter tape and I installed it on here. Alright, so it's been 1 year exactly since I've bought this bike, and if I would recommend, I'd say yeah, this is a very good bike for, a carbon bike, Tiagra parts. A lot of people give Tiagra shit about being shit parts, but I've ridden being like 7,000 miles and only minor maintenance, which I mentioned was bottom bracket had to be changed at 4,000 miles. I had to service the the rear hub at 4,000 miles. Also service the headset, the head tube on this bike. Remove it, re-grease the whole head tube at, that was already probably around 5,000 miles or so I did the head tube. Everything else held up great so far. Front wheel and rear wheel I switched out for carbon wheels, Chinese carbon, which has held up over the last 1,300 miles. And we do some rough riding here in Florida. So overall, I highly recommend this bike. I would purchase another one again if I had to, probably go with Trek again. But we'll see. It is a great bike. I'd say go for it if you've got it in mind to go buy one.